What we're doing here in this deck is we're trying to hit just out of nowhere with big damage from using Iron Hoof Boar as a pump spell, and also Dueling Rapier as a pump spell. This can be played with Flash for just 1 mana. Creature gets +2/+0. Boar can be channeled for 2 mana. And that's +3/+1 and Trample, which is important. So what we have here is Lizard Blades. Just 3 copies, but I should probably put in a 4th one, right? It's like part of the huge part of the deck. But I want to do other stuff. We'll talk all about that. But Lizard Blades has double strike, and of course the equipped creature, if you equip it to something, has double strike. So along with Iron Hoof Boar, Dueling Rapier, kind of out of nowhere, you can just do like big damage, like super solid, disgusting damage if something goes unblocked. And by the way, Dueling Rapier goes really well with Goldhound in a couple of ways. It's not just the menace, but the first strike too, right? Because suddenly 3-power first strike is really good. Also, the same is true with Iron Hoof Boar, right? You suddenly have like a 4-power Goldhound with first strike, then you take down a lot of stuff that's trying to block your 1/1 or whatever. So it can be a trick. We saw that a lot with Fervent Champion last season, so like maybe that'll play out here too, right? But this does an awful lot. If we need extra mana, it can give it to us, but we're probably not going to do that very often. We still 1 mana, 1/1 first strike menace that also procs like artifact synergies. That's really good. So this was a sweet pickup for the sort of already existent artifact aggro decks. We're going to try this out. Other stuff you've seen before, Rabbit Battery, just a 2-of Reinforced Ronin. I've never been a huge fan of this card, even with Dragonspark Reactor in the deck, a card that I really want to talk about a lot. But I've never loved this very much. But Voltage Surge, probably not as good as it is in these Oni Cold Anvil decks where you have a lot of things to sacrifice, This deck, we don't have as many things that we'd like to sacrifice, necessarily. But there's some ways to get value. You got Eater of Virtue, so if you sacrifice something that's wearing an Eater of Virtue, the next time you equip an Eater of Virtue to something else, then it might get a cool keyword ability. Eater of Virtue, by the way, also works very well with Goldhound. If you strap it to a Goldhound and the Goldhound dies, which is pretty easy to make happen, and sack it for mana if that's what you want to do, then suddenly your next creature that's equipped with Eater gets +2/+0 and first strike and menace, which is sick. It's really good. It's kind of disgusting. So I at least want to do that. You can also get haste off of it with stuff like Rabbit Battery and Reinforced Ronin. So, there's that too. Iron Apprentice is a 2-of, and this could be Voldaren Epicure. It could be that thing, right? But still, you can sacrifice this to a Voltage Surge and put its counter on something else. So kind of no harm, no foul. And if you sacrifice it, you can put it on a Lizard Blades or, something else that's equipped with a Lizard Blades, and that'll increase that thing's power. So Iron Apprentice is pretty neat. I'm playing it over Voldaren Epicure here because it triggers overall, it triggers our cast and artifact synergies, right? Whereas Voldaren Epicure just triggers our when an artifact enters the battlefield synergies. And those are very different things because Patchwork Automaton is specifically cast an artifact spell, right? So I'm playing just 2 Iron Apprentice here to slightly push our 1-drops. Not only do we want 1-drops, but we want to be able to go like a 2-drop and a 3, or 2-drop and a 1-drop on turn 3. It needs to be a common play pattern, especially with Dragonspark Reactor here in the 2-drop slot. Let's go through some of the other choices in the deck. We'll come back to this. Now, Patchwork Automaton, kind of a no-brainer. I think we want this. This could be the biggest creature in the deck. Ed Helms, Ogrehead Helm over here. Just to, to refill. It's kind of I keep comparing it to Bomat Courier, but it's like a super fixed, very weak Bomat Courier, but I'll still call it that. Plus we can reconfigure it to something. Procs artifact synergies, drawing cards is always good. Sure, fine card. Lizard Blades, also very important to the deck. Probably should be 4 of those. I've already talked a bit about Reckless Impulse at the top of the stream, but I'll say that this is kind of the most flexible slot in the deck, very likely. If you want this to be a creature, go for it. You want it to be an artifact, go for it. Artifact creature, also probably smart. But you can make this another removal spell. There's a lot of things that Impulse could be, but I really wanted more card advantage. Ed Helms can't be the only thing. Gives us card advantage. And Reckless Impulse, I think, is the best of these. I talked about the new one that has Casualty 1, so you could potentially kind of draw 4 cards off of it. But you got to play them all that turn. You already spent 2 mana, and this deck doesn't have a whole lot of mana to go around. So I think I'd rather just play Reckless Impulse as a 2-of, and that'll be kind of our card advantage in this deck, outside of Ogrehead Helm, right? But aside from that, there's the Reactor. I'm actually super reticent to play this card in an aggro deck. Right, because here's the problem from a traditional sort of deck building standpoint, is that this is an aggro deck. We want to deal damage as quickly as possible, right? So why would we take our turn 2 off to play Dragon Spark Reactor, which doesn't do anything. It's immediately, right? Really antithetical to the philosophy of an aggro deck. Now, in the meantime, though, you really don't want to wait until like turn 4 or 5 to play this, because then you get far less triggers if you do that. So you don't want to wait to play it, but it's an aggro deck, so you don't want to play it on turn 2. Really a kind of a push-pull here, but again, I think that if we go Reactor on turn 2, and then on turn 3, we go like 2-drop into 1-drop, or maybe even 3 1-drop artifacts. That's potentially possible in the deck. Then suddenly our Reactor gets big. We're getting in with haste with the Rabbit Battery and the Reinforced Ronin. We're triggering, Dragon Spark Reactor every turn with Reinforced Ronin, which is pretty cool. We can get like sneaky Dragon Spark Reactor triggers off of Dueling Rapier and stuff. So like, I think it might be worth it as sort of the reach in our aggro deck, the way to make sure that we win the game. When the opponent sweeps, or when the opponent stabilizes on board, or something like that, we can get through for the damage we need. Either by blowing up a creature and getting through in combat, or just going directly to the opponent's face. The card can do both at the same time. You can hit a creature and a player. We'll see about it, but the big plays that we're looking for tonight are not just the wins from Reactor, but also like Lizard Blades equip Patchwork Automaton, or Lizard Blades get in scot-free, Ironhoof Boar hit for 8 all of just out of nowhere. Alright, we go first this time. Again, no 1-drop in a deck with a bunch of 1-drop creatures. Like, a lot. But I think we still take it. Problem with this, I'll say, is that Ogrehead Helm is a little weirdly, like, asynergistic with parts of the deck. Because we want to load up... It's another mono red deck, maybe. Oh, Voldaren Epic here, turn 1. But, yeah, you want to load up your creatures with these Dueling Rapiers, these Ironhoof Boars. But... Oh, that's much better. But if, Ogrehead Helm gets through, you have to sacrifice. You don't have to, but you want to sacrifice it. You don't want to lose your Dueling Rapiers. See what they have on turn 2. Sakinzan Smelter. Still looks mono red, but there could be an Oni Cold Anvil in this deck. Okay. Let's go Lizard Blades. I want that on the table. I'll go ahead and Goldhound as well. No attacks for now. Just still building the board. You can argue I should have attacked with Ed Helms, but I don't think so. It's possible they'd have let it through, but I really don't want to discard the hand. Lizard Blades could do some real damage right now. Or it could die to a removal spell. That's another thing that could happen. Remember. We don't sack an artifact. Interesting. Well, let's go on the offensive. See how they choose to spend their, I don't know, Voltage Surge, maybe? Could be. They have 5 cards over here. Ooh, okay. Well, let's try Dueling Rapier. See if they has removal spell. Hey, Scoop. Come on, man. Come on, dog. Is it really that bad to lose 1 creature? I don't know. We would have had a lot of board presence on them, but they still have a lot of cards. 6 cards when they draw. We're down to 2, man, You might still catch up. Alright, we go first, and we have a 1-drop. That's good. 1-drop creature on the play. Have not had that, actually, so far, so I'll take it. Den Rabbit Battery. Swang. Get the swanging on them. Alright. Let's draw some good cards. Thornwood Falls for the opponent. Everybody playing the life gain tap lands tonight. Just didn't really see that coming. Let's go ahead and eat her. Eat her? I hardly know her. Let's put it on the Rabbit Battery. Swing in with 17. Tapped Jetmir's Garden for the opponent, so they're playing at least 4 colors. That should be fun. That should be very, very fun, right? Blades. I guess just swing. Swing and keep this Voltage Surge open. thinking about lizard blades. Like equipping rabbit battery to lizard blades. Ooh, a Jenny Faye. I'm sorry, Eater of Virtue, probably? Well, maybe I should get rid of the rabbit battery, actually. Then just equip the Eater to the lizard blades. Makes the most sense, right? Cool. Yeah. Sacrifice rabbit battery. Now whatever is equipped to Eater has haste, so that's, you know, kind of cool. Goldhound, huh? Goldhound. Well, let's throw the Eater of Virtue on the lizard blades. And what do we get in here? 12 here? Yeah, let's go for it. Opponent's also tapped out, so let's just go ahead and do it. Pop! Pop! Put him at 2. That's what the deck's trying to do. Let's see if the opponent can remove or get in front of it. Luminarch Aspirant. Okay. Luminarch Aspirant. A couple of Lou Dogs. That's pretty good. 2 2s they are. Alright. Yeah, it's Impulse. This is where we have to start trying to finish the game, right? Alright, let's blow them out. Let's blow them completely out, everybody. You ready? I mean, they know that we have these. It's not a big deal. At least I think that's how Impulse works. Bang! Alright. We can still play the other one this turn, but they gotta have removal. They have to, man. This is actually going to be really tough to win from this position, I feel like. Sparring Regimen, they learn. They're going to get something to remove this Lizard Blades right now. Not right now, but next turn. Yep, Containment Breach. That'll do it. So we have got to get ready. Get ready. What would we like to draw here? Oh, no. Is that Lifelink? Wow. Wow. Lifelink, huh? You are sneaky. You are a sneaky one, my friend. Let's patchwork. Could have swung if I'd put Eater, but then wouldn't be the right thing to do. Alright, we killed their Aspirant. I'm going to go ahead and Rapier on this Patchwork Automaton. What I probably should do, actually, there is I've done that at the end of my opponent's turn. Well, no, I couldn't have. I think I had to play it this turn. That's right. I had to do that. Containment Breach the Lizard Blades. Now, Eater of Virtue will, I believe, give double strike to stuff. Intrepid Adversary comes down. That does have life, or, yeah, lifelink. But I guess we pick that off here. Then we Goldhound. Throw Eater of Virtue on the Goldhound. Haste, double strike, right? With Menace and all that. Let's go. Double strike, haste, first strike, Menace. Yeah, pretty sexy. We bang into the Pest. They go to 4. They need sweep right now, but they might have it. Iridescent Horn Beetle. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each +1/+1 counter you put on creatures under your control this turn. Neat card. I want to play with it too. I really do, but cool win. Cool, and I feel like Eater of Virtue was an all-star that game, dude. You go first. Couple of 1-drops. Looks good. Dragon Spark or Patchwork turn 2. This is a question I've been asking myself all night. What do you play in that situation? I think you probably go Patchwork and then try to go Reactor 1-drop on the next turn, which it looks like we should be able to do. So let's test the theory. Battery. Get in. Their name is Short Term Duel, so yeah, look for mono red here, perhaps. Automaton. Autonomanatoton. Alright, see if opponent goes blue-red here. Okay. Now what? Flamethrower Sonata. Put him behind the wheel of a brand new, pre-owned Sonata. Alright, they're going to kill the Rabbit Battery, which is not the best investment, but another Patchwork? Oh, you. We didn't draw another land, by the way, which is Balls. Balls and bumpkus, I would say. Still think I'm going to go patchwork number 2 here, although I worry about sweepers. Boy, do I worry. But if we can make these big enough, fast enough... Flamethrower Sonata, what the hell does that mean? You know? Like, why are you playing that? Third land is a storm-carved coast. They say go. We still don't draw a third land here. Which is not good. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. Should I keep playing into the sweeper? Probably not. But I do want to play 2 artifacts this turn. I think that would be a good idea. Eater of Virtue. Then Iron Apprentice, which will punish them if they do like a non-exile sweeper, so that's good. They have a trick of some kind. Quickly losing, you know, Dragon Spark Reactor being a good card here, but if we had drawn a third land, I think our plan of attack would have been completely different. It would have included Dragon Spark Reactor a little more. Oh hell. Arcane Infusion. Look at the top 4, reveal an instant or sorcery, it's burned down the house. So we have a couple of turns to grow these boys. That's all there is to it. We only need to draw a land or another 1-drop artifact. So there's multiple outs here. Flamethrower Sonata, huh? They can ward and kill one of our automatons. It's going to be the 4/4 too, I would imagine. Or no, does it have to be... Oh, they discarded their burn down the house to kill the 4/4 automaton. They paid for the ward, so that's all their mana. Do they have another burn? It's possible. We still don't draw that other land that we needed. That's bad if they do have another burn down. But, you know, it's not too bad. They play another land. Even if we play 2 artifacts this turn, they still burn down the house. So... I think we do Dragon Spark this turn. I could just get in for as much damage as possible. That's Goldhound, Eater of Virtue. Which I think I like, actually. Because they're at a low-ish life total. And it's possible that this Dragon Spark still, you know, does something to them. Let's diversify our bonds here and put the Eater of Virtue on the Iron Apprentice. We determined earlier that, you know, ward doesn't carry over. If only you could give haste right now, buddy. I would have put you on the dog. See what opponent does this turn. Maybe they don't have another land. If they do have another burn down the house. See what you do when you're at 2, buddy. The less run. They basically have to have sweeper here. Windfall. Then what, you know? This game. Yeah, good game, opponent. Oh, I wonder what they were trying to like really do over there. Look at that. A Galvanic Iteration. Maybe it's just, I mean, smashing. Oh, okay. You're just going like completely all in with the land destruction thing. That's what you're doing. You're trying to like Galvanic Iteration, Cleansing Wildfire, get 2 of your lands. You don't play any basics. That's what you're trying to do. That's you. Okay. Opponent goes first. Hand doesn't look good, but I'll take it. We do need all 4 lizard blades in this deck. Goldhound. Only cold anvil. Uh-oh. I'm actually a little bit like scared of this matchup, I have to admit to you guys. I'm shaking in my boots. This very moment. Iron Apprentice comes down. Let's get through this Goldhound. I don't know why I want to say his name like that. I also want to call him Goldie Hawn. The Golden Retriever. Airbud. Golden Retriever. Put him at 17. After the Dueling Rapier. Let's see if they have something for... Ooh, a Roadside Reliquary. Neat. It's because you're playing Meat Hook Massacre in the deck and you're trying to find some tech, aren't you? I see you. This deck really needs all of its red and black sources, but... See, like, on turn 3, you usually... Yeah, see, that Roadside Reliquary, I swear to God, it killed you, didn't it? This card killed your whole production, buddy, didn't it? See, pro tip, this card looks really cool. I'm playing Meathook Massacre in the same deck with Only Cold Anvil. I got Fable of the Mirror Breaker, dog. That's an enchantment too, so I can pop Roadside Whale-Crit for 2 cards whenever I want. That solves one of the biggest problems of the deck, card advantage. Boom, I'm in. The problem is, this turn, on turn 3, this deck always needs all of the colored mana it can possibly get. They probably needed, you know, like... another either 2 mana for an Only Cold Anvil or 2 like red and black mana specifically for a Blood Tithe Harvester, but they also want to play like a red 1-drop or a black 1-drop or something. Like this comes up with this black-red deck all the time. You squeeze all of the juice out of your lands that you possibly can. I don't think you could afford to play this card. Quick tip. Let's go. All right. Opponent goes first, which sucks with a hand like this. This is a cool hand. Uh-oh, Dueling Rapier Lizard Blades. Might have to go for it. It's Iron Apprentice. Opponent started on Deserted Beach, which is probably not a good sign. You know, I asked for Esper earlier. We might get it. Blue source. Maybe it's just blue-white. That'd be something. Oh, it's this deck. Okay. Again, a little scared of that. Patchwork Automaton. You might think I would go Lizard Blades there, but no. There's all kinds of choices, like how we want our turn 2 to play out. This is the choice game, right? Is it Lizard Blades turn 2 so we can Dueling Rapier as quickly as possible? Is it Dragon Spark Reactor? Go ahead and play that card so we can proc it as much as possible. Or do we go ahead and play Patchwork so we can get it as big as possible as early as we can? I think in that situation it's probably Patch, honestly. Now I'll patch you later. There's the card I'm scared of. Oh, I'm worried about you, Illuminator. So worried about you. It's Lizard Blades. It's Reinforced Robot. Right? Yeah. Let's save this Dueling Rapier. Patchy goes up to a 3/3. Now, whenever it becomes a targeted spell you control, it connives, so we're not super safe to get in here. Which is lame. I shouldn't have reinforced, but at least it puts a counter on Patchy. Maybe I should have tried to catch them. Like, left a mana open, tried to catch them blocking, and then Dueling Rapier to trade. That would have been a thing. But Virtuoso, dude, I'm so humbled by that card. It truly is ill. Illuminator Virtuoso is sick. You have to respect it. That's all there is to it. Volt Surge, huh? Oh, that changes everything. I think I'll Voltage Surge. Let's target the Virtuoso. Let's sacrifice the Iron Apprentice. Counter on Lizard Blades. So that'll do for 4, but maybe they have the thing that puts a shield counter on it or something like that. Yeah, that's what you have to worry about most right here. They have something to protect it. And I expected they might. That's the most annoying thing about this deck. We don't have a whole lot of removal here. Not really. And so wasting a Surge is not great. It kind of sucks. March of Swirling Mist. Interesting. Interesting stuff. We can't march our Patchy like they wanted to. I think we Ronin. They really didn't want to keep playing. We Ronin, and then we try to Dueling Rapier whatever gets through unblocked, because one of these guys is going to get through unblocked, right? So, you know, if it's the Patchy, they take 6, because we Dueling Rapier it, and it gets a +1/+1 counter when the Rapier comes into play. But if it's the Lizard Blades, they take, what, 8 right there? So, either way, we got rid of their Virtuoso, I guess, and that's all there was to it. The Ward, I guess, made their spells fizzle? That's how that worked? And they still lost their Virtuoso, so remember that interaction, I guess. Yeah, he misplayed Ward. Ward countered it, so pretty great, actually. He didn't have to do that, or they didn't have to do that, I should say. Whoever that was definitely their screw-up, which makes me feel like I want to play at least one more match. But just remember that. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Dev's also made at least 2 eight crazy nights references. Yes, in fact, I have. Oh, man. That's a terrible movie. It's such a bad, but it's really not a good movie. It makes me laugh even just to think about it. Bum bitty 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 bum bum. All right. Opponent goes first in this game of magical cards. Weaken Rabbit Battery. Go ahead and get on board. Right, opponent is green-white cleric class. Another life gain deck, but they have World Tree, so might not all be. Everything may not be as it seems here. Pop him with our rabbit, put him at 18. Energizer Bunny comes in. Oh, and Patchy is definitely... That's an 8 Crazy Nights reference. I'll patch you later. It's nice seeing you, Patchy. Alright. Sorry. I could Lizard Blades attach. That's, you know... Well, actually, that does 6. Nah. It's Patchwork Automaton. We're gonna walk into a sweep, aren't we, baby? We're fitting to walk into the sweeper. I just know it. Let's Goldhound. I just know it. I just know it. Probably the thing to do there, maybe, would have been to equip the Patchwork Automaton with a Rabbit Battery. And keep the Goldhound in our hand, prepare ourselves for the oncoming sweeper. Now, they don't have white here, so I thought it was going to be a depopulate, specifically. But on this mana, I don't think they can sweep anything, so that's good news for us. Vastwood Surge, that's 2 lands. They are snow, that's all 6, so now they can cast whatever they want. I wonder if they play Kami War. I wonder if it is the Kami War is the card that they are trying to do here. Well, let's Lizard Blades. Let's try to end this sucker right now. Let's attach said Lizard Blades to Apache. Let's go. Let's bang on in there, cowboy. Put him at 1 life. Okay. Yeah, scoop it up, kid. Scoop it up. Cool little mid-range deck. I don't know what you're trying to do with the cleric class, but, you know, that's my advice. If you're trying to play this deck, is hope that your opponents don't affect the board state for 6 turns. Actually, it was only 4.5 turns, but whatever. What would I change in this deck? Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd take out these 16 mountains from the newest set, and I'd put in different mountains. Aside from that, I don't know, man. I think I want the 4th Lizard Blade in there. I think that the 4th Lizard Blades is probably really important. To do that, I think you could probably cut like an Iron Apprentice. It's not a good. You probably cut an Iron Hoof board, but if you're cutting Lizard Blades, you don't really want to cut these pump spells. Dueling Rapier did a lot of work tonight. It wasn't bad. Goldhound with Dueling Rapiers on it was actually a pretty good way to get damage in a lot of the time, right? So, honestly, I kind of like the way the deck performed. The weakest card, as predicted, was Voltage Surge, because you often don't want to sacrifice these artifacts. But we did get to sack an Iron Apprentice to a Voltage Surge, and that like really mattered in the game. Eater of Virtue did so much work, dude. There's just 1 copy of this in the deck because it's legendary. But I'm thinking about juicing it up to 2, even with the legendary restriction, because like it's sick when you actually get to do stuff with it, you know? It's really good on a Lizard Blades. It's really good on a Goldhound because of the first strike, so I don't know, man. If you want to make this deck like actually better, I think you probably cut the Pumping Conceit and take out the Iron Hoof Boars, but not necessarily the Dueling Rapiers. I think you could probably cut like 1 Spikefield Hazard, all 3 Iron Hoof Boars. Don't necessarily have to add a Dueling Rapier, but it's just so good with Goldhound. It's so good with Lizard Blades, you know, like Reckless Impulse actually, I think, did enough work for us tonight to make me want to continue playing it in the deck, but I think you could still call it a flex slot. You don't want to play this card. You'd rather play Experimental Synthesizer. I could see doing that, you know. So You know, again, maybe Voldaren Epicure would be another good one-drop for the deck, but I don't like it more than I like Iron Apprentice. But I still do like the card. A couple times tonight where that kind of direct damage would have been really nice, and the only real direct damage thing we have is Spikefield Hazard, and that might not be enough at the end of the day. But altogether, I like the way the deck ran, especially in those like smoother games where you get to go first. It's really good. So it's pretty fast. We did get to do the sort of out of nowhere deal a million double strike damage a couple of times. I think we took an opponent from 14 to 2. Just out of nowhere with the Lizard Blades. So deck has a lot of wrinkles to it. Dragon Spark Reactor was not very good tonight, but the 2 games that I played earlier with the deck before the stream, Reactor was good. But that said, if you're going to play Reactor in the deck at all, I'd probably just play the 1 copy. I'd probably just cut it down to 1. You could safely cut a copy of Reactor. And honestly, you could safely cut both copies of it. It's just a card I personally really like, but you can make the case that it's more removal, and we need that. It's removal that goes above 4 toughness, and we probably need that. It's reach, we need that, but we just didn't really get much chance to use it tonight.